Who killed Amber Hagerman? On January 13, 1996, in Arlington, Texas, a 9-year-old girl named Amber Hagerman and her 5-year-old brother Ricky rode their bikes in an empty parking lot. After Ricky headed back to his grandparents' home, a man in a dark truck abducted Amber. According to Jim Kevill, a witness, she screamed and tried to fight back, but the man was too powerful. Kevill said, "I saw her riding up and down," he added. "I saw this black pickup. He pulled up, jumped out and grabbed her. When she screamed, I figured the police ought to know about it, so I called them." Authorities soon descended on the area trying to find the missing girl. 5 days later, Amber's body was found in a creek. Someone had slit her throat. Donna Whitson and Richard Hagerman, Amber's parents, were devastated. They had hoped authorities would find their daughter alive. Several days after Amber's funeral, a woman named Diane Simone called a local radio station with a unique idea. Why not broadcast child abduction information across the radio and television like weather reports? The idea caught on as local media and law enforcement worked out an idea to communicate information through radio and television when a child was kidnapped. The alert became known as the Amber Alert, named after Amber Hagerman. During a 2016 radio interview, Amber's mother Diane wondered what would have happened if we would have had the alert when Amber went missing. Could it have helped bring her back to me? Since its inception, Amber Alerts have saved over 700 children. Australian disappearance of pilot Frederick Valentich. The still unresolved case of the disappearance, abduction, of 20-year-old pilot, Frederick Valentich, fell off the radar at around 7:12 p.m. on the 21st of October 1978, while piloting a rented single-engine Cessna 182 liters over Bass Strait towards King Island, Little Island off the coast of Tasmania, Australia's southernmost state. Described in the radio transcript that there was another aircraft toying with him, and saw 4 bright landing lights, and a green light, winking above him. He fell off the radar and his plane/body was never recovered. Although a few years later a piece of a Cessna did wash up, the serial number fell within the same range, but it was never verified that the part came from his aircraft. There were a number of theories around what happened. 1. Some people thought that he might have faked his disappearance, mostly due to discrepancies in the explanation he gave to his family and friends versus what he told Morab in flight control. 2. That he was inexperienced, and a bit inept, and he made a mistake flying in the dark, over water, for the first time and crashed the aircraft into Bass Strait. And 3. That something happened with a UFO, either an abduction, or that a UFO caused him to make a catastrophic error that led him to crashing his aircraft into Bass Strait. There were also a number of sightings in the area, leading up to the night, and on the night, that made the UFO theory more compelling. Missing teen found dead months later on her basement stairs. Why does everyone smoke drugs today? Is it more than the past? When I get up in the morning, I'm usually upset. The only moment I smile is the knowledge that I am going to smoke and there is a chance of smearing a small smile on my face. The world sucks without drugs. I think without drugs the world would be lost, but on the other hand I smoke non-stop. It's the only thing that keeps me sane. Even though I am insane, do I have to stop smoking? I wonder if there are normal people who smoke, who manage to live life as normal and still smoke and laugh and relax. In general, I wonder what causes most people to smoke. Distress of our generation or for fun? Michael R. Mickey Broome missing 10 years ago today. Michael R. Mickey Broome was a 54-year-old business owner in Belchertown, Massachusetts. Although unmarried and childless, he was extremely close to his mother and siblings, and it was common practice for him to speak to them every day. On June 25, 2010, Mickey's nephew, Adam Bauman, saw Mickey driving his pickup truck in Belchertown. Adam was a police officer and was directing traffic that day. This would be the last sighting of Mickey. On June 27, Mickey's personal effects, including his wallet, ID, credit cards and cell phone, were found at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway in Loudon, New Hampshire. Spectators at the racetrack who found the wallet contacted Mickey's sister, Carla. The night before the find, Mickey and Carla's mother, Rita, had unsuccessfully tried to call Mickey. Her inability to get a hold of him was unusual enough for Rita to call Carla and express her worry. The finding of his belongings triggered a massive search over a 12,000-acre area in and around Loudon. No other trace of Mickey has ever been found. Mickey was a big NASCAR fan, and often attended races. However, his family isn't convinced he was ever in New Hampshire that day. They say it would have been extremely unusual for him to take the trip without alerting family members. The fact that his medication, Mickey was diabetic, was left behind at his house, and that he hadn't asked anyone to feed his cat, suggests he wasn't planning a trip. Mickey had also made plans with Carla that Sunday, and had confirmed those plans the day before he went missing. I grew up in, and attended college in Western MA, and for several years on the anniversary of Mickey's disappearance, the story would be featured in the local news. As far as I can recall, and from all the news stories I can find, there's never been so much as a theory of what might have happened to Mickey. It seems to be a case that's unfortunately slipped out of most people's memory at this point. The last article I found about it was from 2015, the 5-year anniversary of Mickey's disappearance. I've been a long-time lurker on this sub, but really wanted to share this on the 10-year anniversary of his disappearance. Maybe somebody, somewhere knows something. Adam Emery was convicted of murder on November 10, 1993, then he disappeared. Adam Charles Emery is a convicted murderer who along with his wife Elena disappeared shortly after he was released on bail on November 10, 1993. To this day, Adam Emery has not been found. Adam and Elena Emery had been married since 1987, described as devoted couple who could rarely stand to be apart. Adam was a bodybuilder and professional martial artist who worked as a customer service rep for a local boating company. Elena was a controller for a local construction company at the time. The murder. On August 30, 1990, just after 9 p.m. Adam Emery, his wife Elena and another couple were sitting in line at a drive-through seafood stand in Warwick, Rhode Island. His 1985 Thunderbird was suddenly struck along the side by a passing vehicle which then sped away. Adam Emery became enraged and gave chase after the car. Elena pointed out a Ford Limited that she believed was the vehicle that had hit them, and Adam caught up with the car and began yelling at them about what they had done. The driver of the car refused to pull over and tried to get away before Adam managed to cut across in front of him and block him off. Elena then handed Adam a military-style knife from the glove compartment of their car as he got out to confront the other driver. It was alleged in court later that Elena yelled, "Kill him, kill him," to her husband, though she disputed this. The other driver tried to drive away again and Adam Emery ended up across the hood as he held on and tried to stab at the driver. The driver finally pulled over and stumbled from the car. He had been stabbed through the heart. Adam then went back to his own friends and left the scene. The other driver died at the scene. He was 20-year-old Jason Bass. He had been out driving with his cousin and a friend that night. It turned out that Jason's car wasn't the one that had sideswiped Adam earlier, and that was why he had fled when confronted by Adam. Jason and his friends didn't know who Adam was or what he was yelling about when he chased them. The police managed to compare paint chips from the damage to Adam's car and Jason's to positively confirm a different car was responsible. This car has never been identified. Adam Emery was charged with murdering Jason Bass, and many who knew him were stunned by this turn of events as he had never been in trouble with the law before. Elena's own brother, Dominic DiRocco, who worked as a local nightclub bouncer at the time, and described the murder of Jason as he didn't heed his warning. He was trying to have fun with Adam. Adam was the real victim. The trial was a swift one. Adam went on trial for murder on November 5, 1993, and 5 days later was found guilty. During the trial he showed no remorse for what he had done, claiming he had been defending himself. The disappearance. Having been convicted of second-degree murder, Adam was granted bail in the value of $270,000 until his sentencing hearing, which would take place a month later. Having left the courthouse with his wife at 3 p.m., authorities later placed them at a local Kelly's sporting goods store a half-hour later, where they purchased black hooded sweatsuits, white athletic socks and 80 pounds of diving weights. A strange detail was that Adam apparently was taken aback when the cost of the purchase was totaled up for him and argued the matter with the clerk. An hour after this they were seen eating hamburgers at a local Burger King. Around 4:45 p.m. that afternoon, the couple's car, a Toyota Camry, drove onto the Claiborne-Pell Newport Bridge, passing the toll booths before stopping midway across. By 4:50 p.m. they were seen walking up and down the bridge's walkway beside their car. The couple didn't stay long, and by 5:15 p.m. they were seen driving away. What they did after this is not clear, but at 6:53 p.m. their car returned to the bridge and was reported abandoned there shortly after. The Emerys were gone. The investigation. The Emery car was found parked midway across the bridge. Its lights were on, the engine running, and the passenger side door was open. Clothing was found folded on the back seat along with Elena Emery's bag. On the front seat the police found a small quantity of cash, cut-up credit cards and Adam Emery's driver's license. It was immediately assumed the couple had jumped to their deaths into the Narragansett Bay that ran under the bridge. An intensive water search was mounted using divers, dredging and sonar, but no trace was found of the couple. A few days later family members received suicide letters apparently mailed by the Emerys before they had jumped. The police began to suspect the Emerys had faked their deaths in order to disappear, and they expanded the investigation accordingly. What seemed immediately out of character for someone about to commit suicide was the reported argument Adam had over the price of the sporting goods they had purchased. Someone about to kill themselves would be unlikely to care about the cost of something. The police also were later informed by witnesses at the sporting store and the burger restaurant that the Emerys had seemed to be in good spirits and nothing would suggest they had been planning to end their lives. The police came to the conclusion that the Emerys were fugitives from justice and federal authorities became involved. Later developments. When the courtroom footage from the day of the conviction was examined, a hearing-impaired woman was asked to attempt to lip-read the Emerys in order to know what was discussed. She was positive that Elena Emery told Adam, "We're going to do what we originally said, we should have done it before, you promised me." It was clear the Emerys had already agreed on a plan once Adam was convicted, but the police were unsure if they were discussing a suicide pact or a plan to go on the run. A pair of leg bones turned up in a fisherman's net 9 months after the Emerys' disappearance. This renewed interest in the case. However, it was quickly determined through anthropological tests that the bones had not been in the water long enough to have belonged to someone who jumped in 9 months before. The identity of the person who the bones belonged to was never determined, though curiously a fragment of the same brand of socks purchased by the Emerys was found attached to them. The bones were described as having belonged to a white male too short to have been Adam Emery. On August 30, 1994, a human skull was found in Narragansett Bat. Shortly after, it was positively identified as Elena Emery. This put to rest the idea that the couple had gone on the run together, though many still believe that Adam didn't take his life that day. Another curious part of the discovery of the skull was that it occurred on the same day that several of the Emery family's properties were seized after they had been put up for Adam's bail. Scenarios. Suicide. Suicide has always been a likely solution, particularly with the discovery and identification of Elena Emery's skull. Many that knew Adam don't believe he would have let his wife go through with taking her own life alone. The good spirits the couple were seen in on the day could be explained by the euphoria many have reported people exhibit once they have decided to take their own life. Contrary to this, for many locals, is the lack of witnesses to their second visit to the bridge that day. No one ever reported seeing who was in the car when it returned or seeing anyone jump from the bridge. Murder. Many family members of both Emery and Bass don't believe the coroner's identification of Elena Emery as being the skull found is accurate. Those that knew the couple don't believe they could have killed themselves, and some have even suggested the couple planned to potentially kill someone else to fake their own deaths from the bridge. Others have questioned if perhaps Adam killed his own wife that day in order to make it appear they had both jumped from the bridge while he had gone on the run. Many dispute this as unlikely, as he and his wife were believed to be very much in love, and many doubt Adam would be capable of another murder, particularly a premeditated one. The leg bone of the unidentified male with a similar white athletic sock to the type purchased by the couple had led to suggestions that someone else was killed to take Adam's place so he could run. It has also been pointed out by many investigators that Elena Emery appeared to be the dominant driving force in the relationship, and it was very likely Adam would have done anything she said rather than turn on her. Accidental survival. Some have suggested that if the couple did indeed jump with the intention of taking their own lives, then it is possible that Adam may have survived the nearly 20-story drop and impact with the water to make it back to shore and subsequently gone on the run. This theory is probably the most unlikely, though it would explain his wife's remains being found while his own have eluded discovery in a bay. If he had indeed survived the jump, then he would likely have been badly injured and would have required help to make his escape. Sightings of Adam Emery. Several days after he had apparently taken his own life along with his wife, the police received a report that Adam Emery had been seen in Connecticut. The police did nothing at the time to follow this up, as until his sentencing court date had passed, Adam wasn't legally a fugitive and therefore couldn't be arrested. Many more sightings of Adam in Connecticut were received during the ensuing month, but still the authorities did nothing to investigate. By the time he missed his court date and was declared a fugitive from justice, the latest tip placed him on his way to Florida. Since these early sightings, the FBI states that these sightings continued to follow geographic patterns, with more sightings in Florida and then Italy and France. Despite being declared legally dead in 2004, the FBI put Adam Emery back on their most wanted fugitives list in 2010. They now believe he is living with family in Italy, though inquiries made through the Italian authorities have not led to any breaks in the case. Evidence supporting this was the fact Adam studied Italian extensively while on trial. In 2016, the state police announced they were working with the FBI to create an age-progressed image of Adam in Adam hopes this would assist in his capture. In 2019, the FBI revealed that a serious change had occurred in the case, and they now believe that Adam would be tracked down within 5 years. Conclusion: some of Adam Emery's family later described him as a narcissist who would never have taken his own life. The Bass family have spoken of the case and said no one from Emery's family ever apologized to them for the death of Jason at the hands of Adam. What is your opinion on this case? Did Adam Emery take his own life along with his wife in 1993, or is he still on the run almost 3 decades later, avoiding the justice being served to him for taking Jason Bass's life? And of course, if he is still alive today, does that mean he took his wife's life before going on the run?